Yeah, Esther is in agreement with you. Okay, all right. So let's move on because we're almost done. In light of Fantasia, so you know what happened with Fantasia, right? Fantasia started to talk about submission on what you call it, Breakfast Club.
And later.
And people, no, the reason why she had to come back later is because people went in on her. So she basically defined the biblical context of submission. So us church folk, we knew what she was talking about.
Really?
Oh, okay. Yes, we knew what she was talking about.
Some people go to church, but I don't think they knew because.
Oh, okay. Esther agrees with me. My bad. Esther, you agree with me too. Shout out to Esther. So back to my original point. So just to let you know that I really think you.
Yes, I know, and Esther agree with you. Yes.
No. I really think that sometimes people think that women, it's always about equal or more, and a lot of women feel that way. But there are a lot of women that don't feel like that. That's not a part.
No, I agree. I'm not saying that, but like I said, that is not because that's what they usually get taught home. You know, make sure the man that you go is not an old broken. And so their definition generally escapes the character of the individual,
right?
Because they see, well, if he has money, that means he worked hard for it, and therefore he works hard for it. He has good work ethics, and therefore he has good work ethic. He has good character. But some money are ill-got.
Yeah,
they work for it, but they work for it as Tupac says. I made a G today, but you made it in a sleazy way. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you know, and that's just a symptom of other bad things to come. You know, they're hustlers, but they doing this illegal stuff to get it, as well as you could be like a Donald Trump. You inherited your money, and you lack character.
Right.
So
that should not be the only thing.
That should not be right.
All right, so let's go back to Fantasia. So what's your take on submission? Because people went in on her, and so she with her man got together and made a better clarification of what they were saying. I thought it was an awesome video of clarifying what biblical submission is. What's your take on submission? And what do you think? You said there are a lot of church folk that don't agree. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that there are prevailing thoughts in society which are counter to biblical principles. However, due to miseducation by the church, people are now jaded by the term, and it goes back. And I'm going to be honest. I attack everybody. Well, I want to say attack. I speak the truth. If it's against the man, it's against the man. If it's against the women, it's against the women. However, if I talk against the men, we all agree. The men don't kick back. If I talk against the women, who is this?
That's his point, ladies. That was his major point of me talking to him about it. That's true.
You know, when I'm speaking against the men, hooray, yeah. When I'm speaking against the women, you know, girls are sugar and spice and everything nice.
That's what
no. Yeah, we the same thing. It's just that we just look different. Yeah.
So you're back to your original point. You're saying that because men abused submission, the context of submission, women don't like that word. Is that what you? Because of the way, and I would say men, because the way it was deemed as to control and be in charge, and everything goes your way or the highway. That women fight against that word. If we truly treated biblical submission the way it should be, then people would love it.
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question, and because it ties into Tobas's question.
Yeah, Tobas says, "How does culture affect our choices in a partner?" Okay.
So I have spoke on submission before, and I have been attacked, and it must be from a man that believes that, and Fantasia vindicated me. You know.
And a lot of people, yeah.
I'm like, okay, so it's not
right.
You know, my perspective or a male's perspective, you know, or someone who's considered chauvinistic or misogynist, However, that term in the wrong hands can be abused.
Right.
Can be abused. So we know that there are men that would demand it and does not deserve it. And so I can see why women would be up at arms on the term. Not that they have seen it per se, but women, they're better able to express hurt through while communicating.
Right.
And so they will basically personalize it and say, that's not going to be me. And so, they will be guarded against the term. However, it's also about choices, because I don't think women really know who to submit to. There are certain men you should submit to who will then honor your submission. But then there are men who would use your submission
to abuse you
and to abuse, So, but really,
it's our decision.
It's really your choice. Do your homework. It's really your choice, because so if you do your homework, it's basically you're the one that's going to be led by this man, because then the expectation is for you to submit. But you have to know who you're submitting to, and a lot of women.
That's powerful right there.
A lot of women do not know who they're submitting to.
That's powerful right there, and maybe many of us feel that we don't have much choice, right? It's like you have a good man. He, like you said, he works, right? That's a good point, and like this is the best I'm gonna get. So I get it, and then it works out or not. But it's what if we're making choices based on what we have access to? We are we were talking a little about this last night, but
Topaz, I'm coming to your question. We haven't forgotten.
Okay, we have, at least in the Adventist church, because we're talking about Adventist, at least Christian. We're told as Christian women not to marry anybody outside the church. Meanwhile, so our choices are limited, and on top of that, many of our men are marrying outside of the church. So, like, if we have a certain amount of choices, we may not be as investigative in our efforts. It's like, he loves me, he says he loves me, he wants me, whatever. So, and we make a decision. You guys, as you said, as this meme says, have better options in light of better options.
Yeah. So
do you think you men and women have different amount of options, or you think it's equivalent?
Again, I'll go to the 80-20. I'll say that the 20%
have unlimited amount of options.
We'll see no lack. I seen it. I seen it.
And they can, some of them been dirty. They can be dirty dogs.
But not even that. I've seen women who, like, divorced one guy, great guy, had 4 kids with him, and pick up another dude, great guy with no kids. Right. Like,
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It's the 80-20 rule. That's a good point.
So there's some women who can get away with that.
Okay.
And those are the women as well in that 20% who are also will abuse that as well, because they will make up some story. Oh, he something minor and frivolous.
And they can, because they lining up. That's what you're saying.
Well, not only lining up, but then they will be presumed innocent because of the mere fact that they're women. Because usually, if a relationship ends, typically it's expected to be the man's fault.
That's true. So
they get away with under the radar, and they go to the next victim, the next guy.
Answer Topaz's question before we can move on with submission.
So about choices. So sometimes we are taught to make these bad choices. We are taught to choose, for example, the reputation he has, and like, hey, and it depends on your age as well. So high school, I teach high school, and so some of these girls are making bad choices because this guy, people fear him, or he's a class clown and he's funny, he's not a square or nerd, or he's reckless, and so he is popular, and women generally, girls rather, generally would want to align themselves because at that stage of their life they want to be entertained.
He's a high school teacher, just to let you know. He's around adolescents all the time. Go ahead.
Yeah, too much. So yeah, they want to be entertained, and they want adventure and fun, and this guy will provide it, as opposed to the serious guy who's focused on his books, who probably has interest in, I'll give you a scenario. So yeah, society, going back to Topaz's question, society, would help shape the choices. So that, and a lot of boys, they know that if they look like Mari, or if they look like Chris Brown, or if they guys that look a certain way, whoever is popular around that time, they generally will get volume, because these girls, they tend to follow the trend, and they go to the gossip line, like, hey girl, and they look at others people say, okay, oh, this is what's popular, okay, and or the football player, the athlete, or the basketball player, and like I said, I'll give you an example. So I'm teaching, and I have my students, I call them my daughters, my nieces, and bright girls, brilliant, what I mean? These girls sharp, like, what I mean? So, and they're on point, they're on time, they turn to the page. What are we doing today, Mr. Smart? Let's run it. And so we have a good rapport back and forth daily, what I mean? And I have boys as well who are bright, capable, and, they're low key, they don't say too much, what I mean? They do their thing, they do just as well. And I study people, so I know that, hey, this boy have an interest in that girl, and she's not interested, However, I don't call no names.
Don't call no names. Don't get in trouble.
But this dude walks in my room, sagging, gold teeth, music blasting, you Mr. Small? Yeah, that's what the room says. Hands me his schedule, and then my general class grade drops.
Wow.
Because the girls are now trying to vie for his attention.
You hear that? His grade starts dropping because the girls who are on it starts to get distracted.
Yeah. So I
lost. Hey guys, are you still with me? I lost a lot of people. That tells me that that's gonna keep talking, Leo.
So I had to pull one young lady aside, and I let her know, like, you can't make your love life destroy my general class grade. You gotta tighten up. I was joking, but I was being serious too. But yeah.
But so the culture,
yeah.
These girls could be focusing on their grades, and they ignore the nerd and go for what the culture deems as popular,
right?
And allow their grades to slip, right? Because they're distracted by some fool.
So exactly. So because I always preach to them, and I recite it every morning: books before boys, A's before B's. Book before boys, A's before B's. You know what I mean? And of course, relationships are important at this stage. And some of these young men, like I said, who are focused and academically inclined, they would encourage. I could see them working well together. But again, these girls are not interested in these guys.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, some of these boys as well. You know, they want a hoochie mama. You know what I mean? They, you know what I mean? They focus on their books, but you know, at the same time, you know, if she looks a certain way and is easy, they're gonna go for it. You know, they're not gonna. So then you see
you see the dichotomy there. That's a culture.
That's a culture, and then you see the girls start changing their outfit. They start wearing sleazier stuff. You know, in response, and then.
But see, that's what I'm saying. I guess so. What's wrong with us? I feel like we women, you guys, is like no. Next, we women degrade ourselves for. We need to change our behavior.
Degrade yourself for whom? Not like I said.
No, for the bad guy. I'm saying. I'm not saying it's guys' fault. I'm saying it's something that we as women need to deal with. You know, we need to stop changing ourselves for someone, especially where the vice versa won't be the same. Like, you know, you'll see a man. I'm going for the tangent, but you see a man marry a woman. She dies within a year. He's remarried. A widow. They crying over the husband. Oh my Lord, Joseph, I still miss him. Man, give them a year that they remarried. I feel like we treat each other differently. And I'm wondering, I mean, maybe it's just who we are. I don't know. But I feel like,
well, I think
or maybe sin, you know, desire will be towards the men. I don't know. But I feel like we'll do anything to keep you. Well, I don't know if it's the opposite way. I don't know if it's the opposite way.
I think the dynamics is different.
Okay.
Because I think that you'll never hear a man in his right mind say they'll never need a woman. Okay, so after a man is dependent on a woman, especially for an extended period of time, he ain't gonna survive too long without a replacement. It's a matter of survival. Wow. I mean, clean clothes, clean house, cook food, you know, not that he can't do that himself, but then if he doesn't have to, I mean, a woman turned a house into a home.
True.
You know what I mean? So it's not that he doesn't love her, but at the same time, he loves himself more. You know, I gotta live. And I love her, but I gotta survive.
Hey guys, so to answer your question, all those people wonder, like, how these men this after 6 months? That's why they gotta live. They gotta live. Since so past that 6 months, so past it's because they gotta live. They gotta survive. All right. Last one. So submission is. I don't know if you told me what submission is. But submission is a woman submitting to a man's leadership. I don't remember you saying that. And people were talking about you can't submit to everybody.
True.
So you have to choose who you submit to.
Choose, exactly.
But ultimately, you can't have two heads. You know, head and neck. That's basically what Fantasia was saying. And I like the way Leo said,
but you
got to choose who you submit. You got to choose right. And if you choose right, there'll be no issues in submission. Problem is, we don't choose proper leaders. You wanted to say something before I go to the last question?
Yeah. I don't know if this is controversial, but not because a woman submits to a man, that's automatically make the man the leader.
Remember that.
So, it's not a one-way road; it's a two-way street. And so you said something about, well, you can't have two leaders.
Two heads.
Two heads.
Yeah.
So there's some areas she's going to lead in, and there are other areas he's going to lead in. And it's men also submit to women, and it's all
the Bible says submitting
to God.
Submit to God and submitting one to another.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's not a one-way street. So and you know, I don't know, some idiots, they're talking about, oh, you know, women can't tell me nothing, blah blah blah. Listen, if you have a mother, a grandmother, an auntie, a big sister, they be telling me stuff all my life and still telling me stuff. Right. So I don't know what they're talking about. You know?
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
That is
so
So
True.
if you know, and they're telling my dad,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and grown men in my, oh, make sure you wash your hands before, you know. Oh yeah. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That is.
So
Yeah.
it's reciprocity.
Okay.
You know, it's respect. We understand that they are doing this for our benefit,
Mm-hmm.
as well as we are doing it for their benefit.
Right.
You know, it's not about control.
Mm-hmm.
From submission is about control. You have lost
Lost.
God's principle of submission.
Right.
You have totally lost it. And a woman can submit to her man and still be the leader.
Wow.
It's not automatically because she submit. We are both submitting, and a man can submit to his
other strengths.
Right,
it's about strengths.
Right. It's about strength and complementary strengths.
Yep.
So I mean, and you know, I always talk about my grandparents' marriage. You know, that's to me is ideal. You know, and although my grandfather is the breadwinner, he comes home with his brown paper bag. Mm-hmm. I guess money's in it. He hands everything to her.
Right.
And if she was not a woman of virtue, my grandfather would have been homeless, broke, and
right.
But he totally trusts her.
Right.
She gives him a stipend.
Go ahead, Grandma.
You know, she's like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and tells him to go. Okay, we need to pay this bill. We need to pay that bill. Right. You know, but at
that's
the end,
her strength.
That's right. But at the end of the day, if there's a decision to be made, he makes up the last word. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Although I've seen her opposed. Right. And then he second guesses. Then he's like, because generally they agree. They talk. Right. He may convince her. She may, but ultimately they make the decision together. Mm-hmm. But then I've seen rare occasions where she's like, that don't make sense. You know. And then he reconsiders. Okay. You know, yeah. but it's just how he works. All right. And then if it works out, then he gives her praise in church. Why, God blessed me with my wife. I didn't tell me if I agree, but she did right. She did right. Right. And vice versa. They do that. Right. But we have to understand it's not about competing against others. And we live in a society where we are competing against each other. Yeah. You know, and that's going to be the downfall. Yeah. Once we realize that we both have to win, then life will be sweeter. Yeah. But when we're trying to outdo one another,
gotta stop that, ladies and gentlemen.
And gentlemen, right, mm-hmm. Right.
All right. So, lastly, what would your agenda be in terms of bringing back leadership and visionary in men, being a visionary leadership in men? Because I think a lot of the times women, they say, you know, we can't settle for any joker, yada yada yada. They're assuming that there's not a lot of leadership in our men. Do you think there is leadership in our men? And number two, if it's not, what can we do to? I think there's leadership in men. Let me rephrase that. But they're not necessarily leading our homes. That's just statistically.
Good.
So what can we do to take them back into the leadership and visionary direction of our households?
So I liken leadership like energy. So energy is not destroyed
or created. That's
or
right.
Created, mm-hmm. Right.
First law of thermodynamics. He's a smart guy, just let you know.
That's my name, so you know. Not just a name, but you know. So there's no escape of energy. However, energy is transformed. Mm-hmm. So whether it's going to be from heat, whether it's going to be whatever other form that it, you know, that it may arise, but it's still energy. And the same thing with leadership. The leadership is there, mm-hmm. but it's not in the transformation way when it comes to community and family. Mm-hmm. You know, because mm-hmm. we're leading in track and mm-hmm. NBA and football and mm-hmm. getting teenage pregnancy mm-hmm. and drugs and arrest and mm-hmm. these are leading statistics.
Right.
We are leading. We're outdoing everybody. We winning, you know. Even when nobody's competing, you know, we still winning.
Right.
But that's not the healthy way. So we need to refocus, and that's happening right now. I see that happening through Facebook because I honestly I don't just post to post. It's therapy for me. You know what I mean? I can't afford a psychologist, so having this discussion on Facebook and posting and what resonates with me and what speaks to my spirit and what the Lord, sometimes the Lord talks to me through Facebook. No, I'm not going crazy, but yeah. But so we need to rechannel that, and I've already begun the process. I spoke to you about a mutual friend of mine, which I have checked because I have enabled him, you know, to carry on with a lot of foolishness while a sister got hurt. So I had to apologize to her and had to step up to him, and we need to continually do that. You know, thank God that things didn't end up worse.
Right.
But from then I vowed that, you know what, not only am I going to speak up for women, I'm going to speak up for men. You know, because while we are empowering women, who you are empowering women for if the men are messed up?
Right.
We got to empower women too.
Right.
You know, and due to our society, I know I'm being a bit long-winded, but, you know, we tend to want to protect the girls and protect their virtue and their purity. And then the boys
can do
whatever.
And are forgotten.
Right. But then when these women grow up and want men,
right,
who the choices are not much. You see it in the church. You see, for example, let's speak of my church, because I know Patmos is not like that. But, you know, my church, let me not say my church, but some churches, we're going to edit that. We're going to edit that.
Live. Right. It's live. We don't
So at this church called
some church,
Bedrock SDA Church. Bedrock. Yeah, between the two pillows. You know. So you see a lot of the girls up front. They're
church period.
Yeah.
No, this is every church. Seriously, guys.
Praise team.
This is every church.
Sabbath school superintendents. AY. They are out front and they are learning and they're, you know, and you know what the boys are doing? Playing video games. Yeah. They're locked into the video games. They're playing video games. The parents don't do anything at all. Watching cartoons. Because, you know, back in the day, you know, I want to watch cartoons, but I got to be at church. So, you know, I had to ask somebody to tape it. These kids, I'll bring cartoons to church. I'm watching cartoons. So these boys are doing that. You know what I mean? And some of the stuff, even these anime stuff they're watching, which is, to me, is soft porn. If you really, and they're doing this in church.
Wow.
And so now there's a lot of issues. One of it is addiction, porn addiction, because it starts from then. You know, there's no reverence. So now they're seeing this stuff going on in church, being entertained, getting aroused, and there's no reverence in the church. They're not paying attention. You know, so the devil is basically writing their future right now as to creating the addiction, creating the behavioral or the bad behavior.
And they're not being checked.
And they're not being checked. The girls, however, are being checked.
And this is historical.
But because you can get pregnant. And usually once they get pregnant, the family have to take care of them. That's why a lot of men and some women don't want girl child because they don't want to necessarily, if that happens, but however, they have no problem if the boy gets somebody else pregnant though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So the double standard is live and strong. And so you're saying the way that you can bring back leadership and visionary is holding the standard for our boys just as equally as our girls.
Yeah.
That's very important.
And the Bible speaks of this. Because when the Bible says, you know, hey, you know, be chaste and wait till you're a virgin until you're, they weren't just talking about the women.
They weren't just talking about women.
They were talking about the men.
Yeah, it's both. Yeah, the standard. Yeah, I think that's very important. Holding them to a standard equivalent to women, and training. I think we need the fathers back. We need the fathers in the home to train our boys. Women, we need to allow our men back into our homes. We need to speak of them well. Even I think in our words, even if the man is not doing exactly what they need to do, I think we need to watch our words when we speak of our men, especially in front of our sons. That's the only way they can be the men that God has called them to be. Not the only way, but foundation. We have to speak about them differently. We have to treat them equally. They should be just as precious. Their education should be just as important. I know that's a passion of mine. I like boys should be learning STEM early just as much as girls, and it's just we need to treat them. We need to see them. I think I personally feel men need to be seen. They need everybody needs to be seen, but we need to. When they enter a room, we need to see them and let them know that we see them, and train them. I think they need training. Boys need training in how to be men. And I'm sorry, ladies, we can't do it. We cannot train a man how to be a man. Let me keep it clean. I am not a man. How can I train a man to be a man? So if they're missing, we're going to have to get mentors. And so other men, I know situations where women have come to me and said, Maya, I asked this guy to be a mentor to my son, begged him, and he just didn't do it. So there's some men that are being asked to be mentors. You need to start saying, yeah.
Well, and I agree. And I'm telling you what about that, men being mentors. So there are good men out there that will make good mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of them. But there's also this selfishness about men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a selfishness that I would say is really of the contemporary times. Yeah. Men today are less about communities than before. In the past, we were about a community, we were about a tribe, we were about our people, but now it's like just me and mine,
Me and mine. I hear it a lot, Leo.
I so usually men, I'm talking about men in the church, they have their wife, they have their kids, and they draw a circle, the husband, the wife, the kids, and that's their sole responsibility. Taking care of me and mine.
Me and mom.
You're not my son. You're not my child. You're not my responsibility.
I hear that.
I'm going to take care of me and mine.
Mm-hmm.
There was a movie that came out that I think about it often. There was a movie that came out. The same movie, same production team that made was it War Room?
Okay, yeah.
And it was about this cop. And there's this boy who got himself in trouble and went to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And the cop visited him and had Bible study with him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was doing it for the right reason. This kid came out, made a success for himself. Little did this cop know that he was preparing this young man to be his son-in-law.
Wow, that's so.
So
that's it right there.
But if you draw a circle around you and your family, your daughters are eventually going to marry some of these no good boys you're trying to protect them from.
Leo, my uncle said it. My uncle, and you're not going to recognize it until you're 60.
Mm-hmm.
When your kids are in their 20s. My uncle said this countlessly. I focused so much on this, not realizing if I didn't take care of the boys, these are the boys that my daughter's going to marry. So many of you fathers with children, daughters, you say me and mine? And I'm telling you, my uncle said, especially the ones with girl children, they notice. They say this, and they say it, unfortunately, they don't realize it until it's too late. Yeah, don't give up, Esther. Esther says, even single men, they refuse to help. Their reason is they don't want the responsibility. Hey, Tiffany. Oh, man, recap. It's 1 hour and 24 minutes. We talked about a lot, but I asked 4 questions. Just watch the replay. Number 1, what was the reason for the meme? Remember the meme that he wrote? Remember that meme?
I didn't write it. He
reposted. We talked about what's the difference between an insufferable and strong women. We talked about what submission is and the reality of submission. We talked, and we're ending with how do we have our men become the lead, take back the leadership roles in our homes and things like that. Esther says, Leo, you need to preach. How can she book you? She's gonna book you. Come to Paris. Men's Day or something, or chill young people day or something. You came at 6 and I was on at 6:02. We were setting up. Well, it was like 6:02. I'm sorry, but just catch the replay. I'm so sorry.
Hey, Tiffany.
Yeah. Hey, Reba. But we're done. We're done. It was a great conversation.
Yes,
Leo.
and we didn't kill each other.
We did not kill each other at all. See, we could get along.
Yes.
Yes, of course we can. People were thinking that we'd be arguing. Arguing what? What are you talking about?
That's just Facebook, y'all.
That's just Facebook.
That's just Facebook.
That's just Facebook. All right, you guys, thanks for joining. Thank you guys so much for joining and being a part of the conversation. I'll give you an opportunity to now watch the replay. Let me read some comments just before we leave. We need a part 2. Leo lives in Miami.
Yeah.
Oh, so part 2 live. Yeah. Esther's been about trying to get people to come together, like literally sit like 3 guys, 3 girls.
We should do it. Let me know.
He's actually here till Monday.
Let me know. We should do it. And
Ruben, shout out to Ruben's getting married tomorrow. So
yeah, Ruben.
Tomorrow's not a good day, but
yes. And actually, it's partly due to Tiffany Llewellyn. I'm sorry, Tiffany. I didn't mean to mash up any of it. But yes, Tiffany, you hosted an event, facilitated an event. I believe it was Pastor Graham was there. It was I want to say it was a singles event. Yes, it was a singles event. It wasn't a social justice event. And that's where Ruben met Nanda. That's where I moved. And I knew they would take it because I was there. I saw when the kindling was going to take place. I saw the magic. Can you feel? I won't say. But yeah. So yeah, they're tomorrow. I'm a groomsman in the wedding. They're getting married. So yay
for social justice. Yeah. Yay for all that stuff. Working together. Shout out to Doreen and Ruben. Part 2. We'll work it out sometime.
Yeah,
most likely we'll.
I found a cheap way to get to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
So hey,
yeah,
you just have to. So definitely we can do that. And there's a lot of things going on here in Orlando. There's also maybe you can during this
the pool party thing, Lester.
Well, that might not be
the
PG, but I'm talking about the Friday night.
Okay.
Yeah, you might do something with that.
Yeah, Friday night. But she wants it live in terms of just no Facebook. One on in 3-on-3, no Facebook, just live, like real live, not live like live, but sitting together and having communication. Because a lot of times we do these things with the singles things, stuff like that, and it's usually a whole bunch of women and then maybe a good amount of guys. Orlando has a good amount of guys that come out to these events, but they usually, dominate the conversation. So 3 guys, 3 girls, 5 guys, 5 girls, like literal the equal amounts of numbers. Everybody gets their say. We're listening to one another, just like how we did it today. Just really listening to one another versus arguing. This is what she wants. So yes, I can host lunch that day.
Okay.
So that seems like a good idea. I think that it's a good idea. Yeah. But it's time to go because I don't want it to go past 1 hour and a half because I want people to watch it. It was a really good conversation.
Thank you for having me,
guys.
Maya.
See you guys.